Is there pressure on Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni in 2023? Is there pressure for them to replicate their success from last year? Do they have to justify by repeating and getting to the Super Bowl again? That's the question today. How much pressure is on them? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk more James Harden, the Phillies, whatever else comes up and whatever else you want to talk to, some other fun conversations that I got planned for today. Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network starts in 30 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. We're live, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You know the drill. Like, share, subscribe, retweet, follow, turn the notifications on, tell a friend, do it all. Tell everybody, join this show and get in on the conversation this morning. As we got lots to talk about, it's the only morning show. It's the first daily Philadelphia sports morning show, and it's the best one. But it's the only sports show in Philadelphia where your opinions actually matter. I present the topics. Your opinions are what drive this show. And not only that, if you have a topic you want to talk about that's not on the agenda, we'll talk about it. I'm your host, Phil Stiefel. Always, you can find me on Twitter, this side right there. There we go. At Bearded Knowledge, always shoot me a follow there. We can always interact there with all my great poll questions and other random topics of conversation. But the agenda I've set forth today, if you want to talk about it, is about Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni. Is there pressure on them to replicate their success? You know, the title of the show, why will the Eagles repeat their success? Well, I think it's determining also, is there pressure on Hurts and Sirianni to replicate what happened last year? So we're going to dive into that. I think it's a pretty deep conversation that we can have there. James Harden drama. It'll never end, it feels like. I feel like it's going to go on forever. But we'll dabble in that today if you guys want to. I know his Instagram's scrubbed and cleansed the Philadelphia 76ers stuff. Phillies dropped their series versus the Brewers. If anybody wants to talk about that, we will do that as well. It is, we don't have to call it Football Friday anymore. It's such a cliche term anyway. We did that when we were spending so much time talking Sixers and Phillies, trying to dedicate one day to the Eagles and football. Well, let's be honest, Judd. We've done nothing but talk football all week long. Actually, for like 2 weeks now, I think we've spent the last 9 or 10 shows. I bet you 8 of those have been pretty much football dominated. But we will spend as much time on Football Friday talking Eagles. And Judd, like I said, the opening question, is there pressure? And make sure we're liking this video as we watch on Facebook, YouTube. And if you're watching on Twitter, there's 7 people watching on Twitter right now. You got to head over to the YouTube or Facebook page of Philadelphia Sports Network to get interactive with the show. And I think it's a very deep question. How important it is? Can they? What about the pressure that's on Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni to replicate it? Look, we see all the disrespect across ranking sheets, national media, whatever, not giving the Eagles credit for what they did last year. Is there pressure on them? Who has the most pressure on them? There's always pressure when you play for Philly. I think that I don't even need to go to great comment. I don't even have to read the rest of it. I think the first line is spot on, but it's hard not to overlook the history of teams struggling the year after making it to the bowl. Absolutely agree with that as well. Thankfully, Hurts has that moment. We're getting the comment of the day as the second comment of the day here. There's so many layers to what you say here. There is pressure always playing in Philadelphia, whether it's the Phillies, the Eagles, the Sixers, the Flyers. There's pressure on the Philadelphia Union to play. Hell, whenever the Soul come back for the 40th time, there's pressure playing in Philadelphia. We're a passionate fan base. And there is always been a struggle getting back to the Super Bowl, especially for the teams that lose the Super Bowl. They struggle. But the Hurts Mamba mentality. Look, Jalen Hurts, fantastic. MVP caliber season last year. Not in the PFF top 50 NFL players this year. Disrespect. So is there pressure on them to perform so that it doesn't give those people that give them this disrespect on a daily basis another level of conversation? You got so many. And what is up, Adam? How you doing this morning? You know, think of it this way. Someone like Dan Silly, I won't even say his full or real name, the Silly Man on that other morning channel that, started after me. They copied, because I'm the original here on the morning show. He does his afternoon show, and he crushes Jalen Hurts on a daily basis. If they don't replicate success, and I'm not even saying getting back to the Super Bowl is replicating success. Only 2 teams play in the Super Bowl every year. So I don't even know how we define what success is. I know last year we were discussing at this point, what would be a successful season for the Eagles and Jalen Hurts. We never thought they were going to get to the Super Bowl. Well, I kind of thought they would, actually, and I did predict 15-2 last year and a Super Bowl win over the Raiders, but it's beside the point. I was close. 14-3, a loss to the Raiders division rival. Rumor has it Washington football team is going to change their name again. Hey, I would not be surprised. Josh Harris is a money. Everybody hated Dan Snyder, and he's an awful person, an awful owner for Washington. But Josh Harris is just a money grower. He's just like a hedge fund manager. All he cares about is money. So if he could change the name and sell more T-shirts and more hats and more jerseys because of a new logo and everything, rightfully so. We can get back to the Eagles in a second. Does it bother anybody that Josh Harris owns the Washington football team, the New Jersey Devils, and the Philadelphia 76ers? Like, I know we've talked about this before, but it just bothers me more and more. I see him, rubbing elbows now in football circles. It bothers me so much. And I don't know why. It shouldn't. Like, I don't care. I shouldn't care, but I do care. It bothers you too, Kyle, because what's next? Is he going to buy a baseball team? He's going to buy the New York Mets? Or is he going to buy the Miami Marlins or something? Like, it drives me nuts. Like, I just don't understand it. Now, I know he is not a Jeffrey Lurie, like, diehard Philadelphia sports fan. And Jeffrey Lurie wasn't like that at first either. Jeffrey Lurie has learned and grown into being one of the greatest Philadelphians there is. John Middleton's out there rubbing elbows with the fans during games at Phillies. Josh Harris sits front row center court sometimes, and then you don't see him. You don't ever see him get involved. Like, he should buy a WNBA franchise. That's another topic. When Philadelphia is going to get a WNBA franchise. It's a crime that one of the biggest media markets for sports in the country doesn't have a WNBA franchise. It's a crime. It really is. Washington stinks. Well, their football team does stink. They have 2 or 3 or 4 talented players, but the fact that they're going with Sam Howell, and no offense to my rest of the district people, I love them. Sam Howell is not the answer at quarterback, and they're going to struggle this year with that. But, it bothers me that he owns so many different teams, but not just like if he wanted to own 3 different sports franchises and he owns the Sixers, buy the Vegas Knights. Nothing to link to Philly. If you want to buy a football team, go buy the Tennessee Titans or the Houston Texans, a team that, that really doesn't connect to Philadelphia. Terry McLaurin, like, I feel so bad. I mean, he's a fantastic wide receiver. Scary Terry, for sure, Dakota. He's going to have Sam Howell throwing him the football. Yo, fade Terry McLaurin early in fantasy football drafts, guys. Oh, maybe fade him completely in fantasy football. Try not to get him or Antonio Gibson. I mean, 2 years ago, they were talking about Gibson being the next Christian McCaffrey. Not even close. Yeah, literally any team that's not in a Philadelphia division. It's just wrong. It is. And you see him smiling and rubbing elbows and, shaking hands, kissing babies. It's like, dude, Washington, it's like Washington's going to get better as an organizational franchise with him there. But Washington's got to learn one thing with him. All he cares about is making money. So he might clean up the controversies and the and the wrongdoings of Daniel Snyder, but he's not going to lead them to the promise. Look at the Sixers. He doesn't lead the Sixers to the promised land. He just finds a way to keep making money. That's it. Running an NFL franchise is much more difficult to run than an NBA one. I think Washington is going to struggle for a while. Yeah, I mean, he's going to try to do things to turn it around. He's going to probably make some bold moves over the course of the first year or two. I could see a new GM eventually, a new coach in there eventually. They're just running probably Sam Howell out there right now just to placehold till Josh Harris figures out what they want to do. You know, he does have 20 limited partners. I'm sure he does. He has limited partners with the Sixers, too. He's just the control. John Middleton has limited partners with the Phillies. But the majority owner is still the guy. He's still the guy front and center. And Jeffrey Lurie and John Middleton are front and center, doing good in this community, really, ingraining themselves with the fans. Josh Harris, of all of his teams that he owns, doesn't care one iota about the fans. He just cares about making that money. Oh, I know, and I know it's not just him. They got good edge. They weren't they trying to trade what's his name? Chase Young, their top pick from just 2 years ago, this offseason. Like, I don't know what I honestly think that Washington didn't have much of a plan this offseason simply because of the sale of the team going through. And it's a complicated process selling any franchise in any sport. And especially Washington with everything surrounding Daniel Snyder. It was complicated, so they really couldn't do much. It's probably why Riverboat Ron stayed on as head coach, just to keep some continuity there for the football players themselves. But he didn't do anything to keep his job the last few years. They could have had Alex Magoo. I don't even know who that is. But anyway, we just went on a 5-minute Washington rant here. Let's transition back. Let's get back to the Philadelphia Eagles, because that's the team we really care about, right? We care about the Eagles. We don't care about Washington. I hope Washington implodes. Hopefully they invest in proper plumbing. And like rallies that stay up. Wasn't it Washington where, all the fans fell on Jalen Hurts and stuff like that? Wouldn't want their fans to get showered by. Dude, there's some of the Eagles fans getting showered with that poo-poo again. I got to watch what I say on this show. I don't know what's been going on, but I've gotten limited restrictions put on the show a couple times over the last couple weeks. Maybe because I've cussed a few times. Maybe because somebody watching the show hates me and reports me. I don't know. I got to watch what I say now. Maybe Josh Harris is watching. He's going to report me to YouTube. I don't know. They should have traded Young. He's been a major disappointment. He was injured a lot at first, wasn't he? I don't stay tight up on the Washington Commanders. Maybe they should have traded him. They should have traded him to Philly. We would have given him we would have given him a 7th-round pick for it. I don't know. Let's move off of this Washington conversation and get back to the Eagles here. Toolman Taylor. Yeah, I can't do that one. Do I? Is that why I get reported because I say hell too much? Okay, my apologies. Limited. There is YouTube ad revenue, and I get limited on it like 3 times in the last 2 weeks because of something. It says it could be because of just the algorithm caught something, or someone reported me. They won't tell me what. Maybe it's Honey Bunnies that's reporting me every day. Every time I put the picture of his post calling me, the reason why we're considered a-holes in Philadelphia is because of me, which is totally bogus. So I guess this show's going to get limited flagged again. Oops. I fight every single one of them, and I've won every single one of them. I'm still waiting on the last 2 to win those, but, we'll see. Anyway, back to Eagles. Yeah, who would report this? I even put a little oil in the beard today to kind of clean it up a little bit. I really do minimal grooming on it. So that's why it's so awesome, because there's no grooming going into it. Occasionally, I pass a comb through it. How long until Sidney Brown becomes a starting safety? I think we got a stake with him. This is one of the conversations we've had a couple times this week, Dakota. I don't know. Like, we talk about all the players that we could bring in, Budda Baker or whatever, like just using that name for name's sake because people know it. This training camp, there's a lot of young players that can earn a lot of playing time or even potential starting spots. So that's why Howie Roseman is not going to bring anybody else into this team, at least for the next 3 weeks. I know Dennis Kelly was just brought in, but there's going to be very few other starting caliber players brought onto this team because you got Sidney Brown, you got Kellen Ringo, you got Eli Ricks, you've got Nakobe Dean, you've got a lot of players, Reed Blankenship even to an extent, that got to prove themselves. And, well, you said you meant steal, not steak. But I think you could use the word steak, and I think it makes sense. He might be a prime rib. He might be a filet mignon. You know what I mean? He's not an Applebee's sirloin. He might be the filet. Like, he might really be good. But he's going to need those first 2-3 weeks of training camp to really prove it, to really, show what he could do. And, come preseason games, he's going to be a guy you're going to see on the field a lot in those first there's only 3 preseason games. In those first few preseason games, you're going to see a lot of him on the field. I think there's a chance that he is starting at some point this year. At this point, I think the job going into camp is Edmonds and Blankenship. Now, we'll see if Brown can crack through there. Because, look, let's be honest, Terrell Edmonds, he's not a starting safety on a Super Bowl team. He's an okay safety. He doesn't do anything bad, but he doesn't do anything great. Oh, footballs. Okay, gotcha. That's what it is. Let's roll down here. I don't remember you ever saying it. I don't. So I don't know, man, chatter, what it is. I say sometimes I'm flipping the bird, but I do it off camera. I don't know. But I get tagged because of something. I don't know. I don't even know how it works. I got YouTube Premium, so I don't have to worry about commercials. AI is tracking your show. Some AI is tracking my show. I don't know. Or somebody, look, even the coolest guy in the world, me, the coolest guy in this room at least, there ain't nobody else but me and this Philly fanatic, and I don't know if anybody knows, I put my Chase Utley bobblehead. You can't see it with my name over it back there. I'm the only real person in this room. So, yeah, I'm the coolest guy in this room. I don't know what's going on with that. Blankenship. There's a lot of hype. Somehow we've already gotten off of the topic of the day, but that's what I love about this show. We go where you guys go. Whatever you want to talk about, that's what we talk about. So somehow we went from Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni to the Washington Commanders to now we're talking safeties. Philadelphia does love safeties. I mean, just think about it. Back in the day, Andre Waters and Wes Hopkins, Brian Dawkins for so long, Malcolm Jenkins, and now we're in the Reed Blankenship era. There's so much. Look, I like Reed Blankenship as much as the next person does. He still, though, has to prove. Judlin, I still think he has a lot to prove. There's a chance that Terrell Edmonds plays well and Sidney Jones plays well, that Blankenship could be the third man and not the starter. He's the starter at this moment, but in my opinion, he's still got a lot to prove. Sidney has a problem with missed tackles. Okay, I don't know that. I'm not shy to admit I don't watch a lot of college football. And so a lot of these guys we draft, I only see the highlights after we draft them. And normally only the good plays are showed by a lot of these sites. The Shane Haffett, great account, great guy over at Chalk Talk there. He puts out a lot of videos on all these guys we draft. Deebs over Edge of Philly Sports, he puts out a lot of highlight videos of these guys, but they show the good plays. So I don't know what their weaknesses are. So if he's got a missed tackle problem, he's going to have to work on that in camp. And guess what? They don't tackle much in camp. So that's a problem as well. If we had to guess who's got it's Reed Blankenship and Terrell Edmonds right now. But Sidney Brown will have a chance to beat one of them. Just a powerful name. I'd buy a mattress, a car, just Blankenship. It is a cool name. It does have a certain, coolness to it. Saquon, Zach Martin holding out. Josh Harris owns the Commanders. This is the NFC update so far. I mean, the NFC East is in disarray to an extent. Look, I still say the Cowboys. I mean, Zach Martin holding out, it will be a problem for the Cowboys if he does that. I would assume that Jerry Jones is smart enough not to let one of his best linemen hold out for too long. Maybe Zach Martin's old enough and veteran enough, it doesn't even matter if he holds out. But this goes back to, will the Eagles, and why will the Eagles repeat, their success of 2022 and 2023? Well, for check mark one on why they will repeat their success is because the NFC East, it's a tough division. There's always hard-nosed fought battles inter-division, but they're not a great division overall right now. Washington's a dumpster fire. The Giants don't scare me. The Cowboys are really good. I was talking yesterday, maybe they're the second best team in the NFC, but they still got a lot of question marks. Howie will pick up either a linebacker or safety after cutdowns. Absolutely agree with you. How do we say it? KAE1F8. Lots of great comments from you so far. He will pick up at least one. Maybe he'll pick up one of each. But how Sidney Brown does in training camp, how Nakobe Dean does in training camp determines whether he'll have to go out and get a Chauncey Gardner-Johnson level starter or just some added depth behind them in case of injuries. Because even if Brown plays well, Reed Blankenship plays well, Nakobe Dean plays well, there's no depth behind them if one of them gets hurt. And we were a super healthy team last year, no doubt about it for the most part. But, law of averages says that bounce out this year. Maybe we face some injuries. Commanders are a threat now. They're not a threat yet, Freddie. They are a threat to turn the franchise around in the next 3 to 5 years. But that's it. It's not going to be an instant turnaround there for them in Washington. We're the only team not in turmoil. And I think that's a huge thing right there. You know, we really didn't get into the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson stuff too much yesterday. But Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, immaturity is insane. And we got rid of that drama. And that's the thing with Howie Roseman, Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts. They keep the turmoil, they keep the drama, they keep the players in check. And that is one of the many reasons, but maybe one of the top reasons why they will keep the turmoil or the success going in 2023. Is the weather always good in Philly? No, the weather sucks in Philly. I hate having 4 seasons. I get into a fight with this all the time, Marshawn, with people. I hate 4 seasons. I just want summertime all the time. I don't want rain. I don't want humidity. I need my Florida weather, my man. I do. Commanders have no front office and no quarterback. Hell of a roster, though. They have an okay roster. They have Sam Howell as their quarterback. So I don't care how hell of a good roster you think they have. When your starting quarterback is Sam Howell, that's a problem. It's not always sunny in Philly. Oh, my God, my man. Thank you again. Thank you. Appreciate it. Cheers to Spend the Bar, everybody. Means a lot to me right there. Greatly appreciate that. I heard it's cold, but sometimes it is cold. I won't say the word you said because I don't want to get another tagged or anything there. Safety, not very rare. Lots of cuts in the absolutely. Hence, we got Chauncey Gardner-Johnson so cheap last year. Well, now I look back on the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson situation and be like, well, the Saints knew something that we didn't. Knew something about his problem. And, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is gone, thank goodness. But there always are safeties available. Yes, it is fire. Let's go. I appreciate everybody tuning in on a daily basis here. This is my second one. And, second super chat in about the 2.5, 3 months since I've been here, man. I appreciate it. No drama is Nick's superpower. I think you could put Jalen Hurts in there, too. We do have divas on this team. I don't know how to say your name, so I'm just going to 1FX. We're just going to call you F8. F8, we have divas on this team. But between Hurts and Sirianni, we keep them in check. Think about it. If the going gets tough, it's one of my big question marks. If the going gets tough, do they replicate their leadership this year, those two guys? A.J. Brown's a diva. If things go wrong for A.J. Brown, I can see him causing trouble. But Jalen Hurts, his buddy, can keep him in check. Darius Slay, I think there is some diva in Darius Slay. Something goes wrong there. It could happen. I don't know. But the superpowers of Nick and Jalen being leaders, the intangibles that they bring, that they literally, it goes back to some of the Philadelphia Phillies of 93, it reminds me of. That you did not want to disappoint Darren Dalton or John Kruk or Lenny Dykstra because you did not want to be pulled aside by those guys. If Pete Incaviglia had a bad day or Dave Hollins didn't run a play out or Kevin Stocker was being immature, I'm not saying they did that, but I'm just saying those named specifically for random reasons. They didn't want to disappoint because you didn't want to be talked down to or pulled aside and talked to like from a teacher by Jalen Hurts. So, it's really interesting how great they are. Kayvon Wallace is the best athlete we have at safety. Whew, I can't believe we've still got Kayvon Wallace on this team. I won't lie. He's a guy I would have thought would have been gone by now. But at the end of last year, I will say I started to see Nakobe Dean turn a slight corner. He actually made Kayvon Wallace, if you look at his first few years, every tackle he had on defense was chasing a player from behind. He made 3 or 4 tackles. I know it's only 3 or 4 tackles, super small sample size. He made 3 or 4 tackles where the player was in front of him. And that just alone is a step in the right direction. If he can't get through to him, he will be cut. He'll be one of the final cuts for sure. CJ loved the weather, not do the CJ's toast. Bye-bye. He is one bitter dude. And you know what's kind of crazy about what Chauncey Gardner-Johnson did the other day? And I had one of my employees explain what all this Twitch stuff is and why people stream stuff and all. He's going to be a free agent again after this year. The league's taking notice. If he would have played nicey nice, off season and during the season, Howie would have probably considered bringing him back next year. Now, not only will Howie not, but the league sees this. And he probably, with his comments, cost himself a lot of money. He's going to have to ball out 10 times more to even get a slight bigger payday next year. K1 is what we'll go by. I got you. K1. I love it. Now that I see how you want me to pronounce it, I say it. If you as good as Brown or Hurts, you can be a Murray diva and it's okay. Nah, dude, Kyler Murray, again, do we really want to get on Kyler Murray? Kyler Murray is, in my opinion, one of the most overrated quarterbacks in the NFL without a shadow of a doubt. The Eagles have too many strong vets to let divas run the show. But yeah, and that's key. And this is one of the things, in my opinion, that will keep the Eagles' success train going. The fact that they have people, not just a lot of vets, like it's Hurts, it's Kelsey, it's Lane Johnson on offense, it's on defense, it's probably Fletcher Cox, it's definitely Brandon Graham. And honestly, Darius Slay, who is one of the divas, is one of the leaders. So, it's interesting. What is up, Eric? Welcome to the show. Watching Slay on the volume doesn't come off as a diva. I've not seen him on the volume. He came from Detroit and didn't hear anything about him. They were losing. Look, I'm assuming he's got a look. I just see him, his swagger and the way he acts. I think he's been able to keep it in check in Philly. But I have a feeling deep down inside that it could come out at some point. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm wrong there. Wouldn't be the first time I'm wrong ever. It wouldn't be the first time I'm wrong today. Make sure, guys, we're watching Trending in the AM. Got 19 people watching live right now. We got 10 likes on YouTube, only 2 on Facebook. Make sure you smash that like button, hit the share button, guys. Get everybody in here. He's still going to be on that game next year, and that's how he's presenting himself. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, yeah, he's a problem, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, without a shadow of a doubt. Point is, if you great people will overlook your book. Look, yeah, I don't know. Joe Ennis. I thought it said Ennis. I was like, what's the guy that used to be on Philly Sports Talk? I thought your name was Ennis for a second. I was like, that'd been hilarious. He's been fired from so many stations, but he's watching here. Greedy Gardner-Johnson. I like that. Has a little boy mentality and needs to grow up and become a man and stop trash talk. Dude, I firmly believe, Joe, that he has cost himself a lot of money. I do. I really, really do. And there's going to be a lot of teams that need a safety next offseason. A lot of them are going to be like, let's talk about Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Then somebody in that GM room, when they're talking about free agents and when they got their board of their offseason plans, like, but what about the immaturity? And his name's going to get bumped down that list a little bit. It is. In a year or two, Nakobe will be unquestioned. I absolutely agree with you on this. I hope you're right, K1. I hope I'm right. The fact that Nakobe Dean is being given the green dot on the helmet, basically the play caller, the leader of the defense already. He's got like 12 snaps on defense. 6 in one game. But they are bumping him up and putting him as the leader of this defense physically on the field like that. It speaks volumes of what this team and organization think of him. I hope he can live up to it. It's going to be one of the big think about it. Why will the Eagles replicate their success? What pressure is on this team, etc.? There is a lot of pressure on Nakobe Dean. You lost your 2 starting linebackers, Kazir White and TJ Edwards. Combined, they had 259 tackles last year. Where are those tackles going to come from? Nakobe Dean better have 150 tackles and be a successful linebacker. To do that, or we've got question marks, or we've got problems on this defense. He really is going to, no matter how much I talk down on TJ Edwards and Kazir White, they were good. They weren't as great, in my opinion, as people think, but they were still very strong, solid linebackers, and you lost them. There's a lot of pressure on him. Kelsey, Johnson, Graham, Hurts, Nick, too many leads. Well, there are divas, John, but because of these guys, the divas are held in check. And I love that. And that is why there's all these names are there, but it's really Jalen Hurts and it's Nick Sirianni. They're the top dogs in the leadership category. And when the going gets tough, like we've got that tough stretch of the schedule, whatever, weeks 9 through 14 or 10 through 15, whatever, the going is going to, if the going's going to get tough in that stretch, there's no doubt in my mind that we don't lose more than 2 of those games in that 5-game stretch. Why? Because Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni will not let this team lose more than 2 games in a row. Because they're going to power through it. They're going to push through it. They're going to lead by example. And I greatly appreciate it. All right, I love it. I'm saying I greatly appreciate my man. Another one. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Very, very much appreciate that right there. 2 in one day, my man. That's the first time that's ever happened. I like the prediction, K1. He's the Mike. I call it the green dot. The Mike. It's the same thing. Is it the Mike M-I-K-E or is it the M-I-C? I don't know. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson had a good season last year because was he a product of the defense last year? Maybe. But Denver's a good team. Or Detroit's a good team too, Kyle. I believe in that. Oh, my God, you guys. I love you all. I can't believe you guys are doing this. Grab something for the wife. Now, don't let her see that. I hope she's not watching right now. She never watches the show, but she's probably watching right now. You guys are kicking ass today. I appreciate that. Reviewing the tape, AJ is a man among boys. Dude, he is. Mitch, what is up, my man? How you doing this morning? More pressure on Sean Desai. I think there's more question marks than pressure on Sean Desai. I mean, Sean Desai's been an assistant on some teams, good teams. He's learned under Vic Fangio, but he was a defensive coordinator for 1 year, and his 1 year, it was a bum or bust or whatever. It wasn't all on him. Nagy and that Bears team was awful that year, complete and total bust of a team. But he was a failure as a defensive coordinator that 1 year. So I think it's questions: is he good or not? I have hope, I have faith, but we'll see. And I just want to say one more time, thank you, Mr. Sandman, for this. I greatly appreciate it. And again, Judd, I love you. You're here. You're one of the OGs. You're here all the time. I greatly appreciate it. I don't ask for this stuff. I appreciate it. It helps put together this show on a daily basis. But it's something I greatly, greatly appreciate. Dean was rated the smartest football player. Okay, that's great. That's fantastic. But can it translate? Will he be ready? I hope he will. The other thing is he had injury histories in college. That's probably why it's his size and his injury history is probably why he dropped from the first-round prospect that he was down to the 3rd round. I hope Nakobe Dean proves to everybody else that they were wrong. I hope that's one of those when we do revisionist theory and redraft and draft that he goes in the top 10 5 years from now in his draft class. I hope. I think that's more question marks than anything. What is up? Yeah, I love it. I love it, Eric. There's some bombs being dropped today. I love it. I love it. I love it. What do we got here from Kevin Johnson? We are definitely running it back. I pray that we stay healthy this year. And that's the thing. That does scare me, Kevin. I won't lie. Like, I believe in the law of averages, that life balances out, that everything ends up even in the end. And we were so healthy last year. I mean, we also had Lane Johnson playing with a torn groin nonstop. So, I mean, that's another thing right there. But We were healthy last year. For the most part, Jalen Hurts missed 2 games. You had a few nicks and bruises that you get. But remember how bad 2020 was? How many injuries we had in 2020, just on the offensive line alone? Like, those memories are burned into my mind. It's tough. Nakobe Dean took engineering at Georgia. Titty. I mean, what was he? What kind of engineering was it? I don't know. No, I mean, I'm not smart enough for engineering. Never. Not at all. I went to Drexel for 1 year for not engineering. But all it was I was surrounded by engineers everywhere. I couldn't stand being at Drexel because I wasn't smart enough to go to Drexel. How I got into Drexel, I have no idea. It feels like we are defending. This is an interesting comment, Eric. It does. We came up short last year, didn't we? Just like every other team that didn't win the Super Bowl. But we're pumping our chests like we're defending champions. We're just defending NFC champions. We didn't get the ultimate prize. And with the leadership and the pressure, I think it's great that we failed last year because I think it puts the pressure on Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni to be better this year. I really do. It forces them to want to be better this year. When training camp starts on Tuesday, I'm gonna have to message Coach Dale Carlson. He's been on the show a few times. Great intellectual. I'm gonna send him a message and I'm gonna ask him, and we'll start Monday's show off with it. I'm gonna DM him. I'm gonna ask him, what would his message, if he was in Nick Sirianni's shoes, what would his message be on the first day of training camp, first meeting? What would he say to the troops? Be like, we didn't get there. We're a great team. There's a lot of pressure. How do we return to that promised land? I'm going to be curious to see what Coach Carlson says would be his message. And he's got 40 years of experience coaching college, semi-pro leagues. I mean, he's learned from some greats. I'll be really curious to see what he says is that first message. Because we're pumping our chest as fans. We at this point, the way we are so confident right now, Eric, you would think we don't even need to play the season. Just put us right in the Super Bowl. But that's why you play the season. Because, how many times have we had the best team on paper in all the 4 major sports in Philly? It happens a lot. You will be tested and put through the fire. And as everybody says, the target will be on our back. Everybody's going to want to knock us off. So there is something to engineering is a lot of reading math. I know there's a lot of math in it. And I was a good math student up to like algebra. But once you got past algebra 1, my math skills kind of hit the peak of their arc. When you want to talk about arcs and stories and stuff, my top of my arc was in algebra 1, and then Kyle watches. We went to high school together. We went to a good private. You got to be smart to get into Devon Prep. We went to Devon Prep. I don't know how me and Kyle got into Devon Prep. No clue. Kyle was much smarter than me. I think if Kyle vouched, maybe I think I had the lowest SAT scores in my class. I'm not positive. If Sean Desai doesn't produce and make the defense like he says he's going to, the Eagles fan will be outraged. Well, he's not going to make it what the fans want. They're not going to be a blitz happy. If we didn't think Jonathan Gannon blitzed enough, well, you're going to be disappointed in Sean Desai. He does not blitz. But we didn't blitz a lot last year, and we led the league. We had 70 sacks. I think we're going to be pretty close to 70 sacks again this year. Let me sidetrack there. I do think we repeat that success. Even though we lost Hargrave, the defense, sack-wise, will repeat that success for sure. I feel the season will come down to 2 things, injury and the new coordinators. I don't think there's enough discussion, spend the bar. I don't, on the coordinators. I've tried to bring it up a few times on this show. I don't think it's discussed enough. You got a guy calling plays in the NFL for the first time, and you got a defensive coordinator that had 1 year and he failed at it. And I don't even think he was the top choice. I think Vic Fangio was the top choice. And then the whole Jonathan Gannon and tampering thing happened, so he went away. So, is what it is. I think the coordinators, and you've got a lot of other guys, like the new quarterback coach. Brian Johnson's been Jalen Hurts' quarterback coach. He's the offensive coordinator. More on his plate. They promoted somebody else up to, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, to the quarterback coach. That's going to be a new voice in Jalen Hurts' ear. Like, there's a lot of change. With success comes change. Coaches get poached. How Nick Sirianni delegates and manages these guys and coaches these guys up. Has he been prepping all these guys in years prior to get them ready for this moment? It's going to be something that's very, very interesting. Eric's right. I feel like the Eagles are underrated for how successful they've been. The Eagles are underrated, and they're disrespected. But also, there is a little bit of they still haven't gotten the job done. They still have more to prove. So, aeronautical engineer, that just sounds complicated. Uh, I love it. Kyle and I, not me and Kyle. Okay, yeah. See, I don't know how I got into Devon Prep. I don't know how I got into Drexel. I got accepted to LaSalle, didn't go there. I supposedly I was smart at one point. I think then once I got to college, I started partaking in adult activities a little too much, and maybe my brain cells got a little fried. Maybe that's why I say me and Kyle and not Kyle and I. Maybe I don't know. But I guess at one point, dude, man, Jared, I love you. You still remember when the one time I mentioned my elementary school, and you remember it? I love it. You must be taking notes somewhere, and taking notes on these shows so that you remember. Yes, I went to Holy Cross. Shout out to Crusaders, Springfield, PA. When you grow up in Delco, you just basically say what parish you're from. That's how people know where you're from. And I'm from Holy Cross, so that tells you where I'm from. Barring injuries, we will get back to the Super Bowl and win big. Barring injuries, I think all these question marks, the coordinators, the divas, everything. There is so much talent on this team already. Even though we have holes, and we've discussed those holes a lot this week and last week. But there's still so much talent, and Jalen Hurts is Jalen Hurts. He is him. That barring major injuries, this team will get back at least to the championship game. I'll stop it at there. Guarantee that unless there's massive amount of injuries, the championship game is the minimum for this team. That's how good this team. That's how good Jalen Hurts is. He really is. That's right. Are they still they're still the Tide. Holy Cross change. Yeah, I don't know. Roll Tide, my man. Kyle, I got to get some of the other Devon guys commenting on this show. For sure. I got to get some of the other kids from our class, the ones that are still around. When they told me I have to multiply letters, I gave them the double birds. Dude, I don't know. You said you were originally from Coatesville. Did you go to school in Coatesville, Eric? Dude, I'm smart. I am far from smart. If I was smart, I wouldn't own a pizza shop and I wouldn't be talking sports every day. This is, look, even my brother's tuning in today. That is a rare feat. My much less good looking, much less cool beard brother is checking in on the show. He hasn't checked in on a show in 2 years. Look at that. There's pressure on Jalen, but I'm confident he can handle it. Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's zero shadow of a doubt that Jalen Hurts can handle the pressure. Now, I think the question mark is more on, can Jalen Hurts match last year's statistical success? Can he match the offensive production that we put out? That's the question, I guess. Can he do it? Seriously, what? I'm sorry. We're so far behind on comments. I don't even know which one you're saying seriously on. This team, if it's guarantee. Oh, the guarantee. I guarantee, George, that unless there's a massive injury run, Jalen Hurts misses a long amount of time or 2 or 3 offensive linemen go down, whatever, we are getting back to the NFC Championship game. I guarantee that. Guarantee, without a shadow of a doubt. You being humble, you're smart, but as a youngster, yeah, I had no rebel side as a kid. None at all. Kyle and we'll vouch for that. Jalen is him. Timothy. I love that. Timothy. If Jaguars win a Super Bowl for the Eagles, then that means Howie should have been fired and said, dude, I don't want to do revisionist theory there. And the Jags may win a Super Bowl with Doug Peterson. They might. But not yet. Trevor Lawrence still's got a long way to go. Guys, we're about 45 minutes into this show, 9 p.m. We got 30 minutes left. We got 22 people watching live. We still only have 12 likes on YouTube, 4 on Facebook. Make sure you smash that like button and share button. I greatly appreciate that, guys. Can Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars eventually win? Look, the Jags are underrated storyline in the NFL is Calvin Ridley coming back and being on that Jaguars offense. It was already pretty good last year. Dude, if you're doing fantasy football drafts, and we're going to do some fantasy football shows in the next few weeks, I'm going to have my man Swagman coming on and talking over-unders and drafts and stuff like that. That Jaguars team is going to score. And Calvin Ridley is going to be a really good player this year for the Jaguars, and he's going to make Trevor Lawrence even better. There's a chance next year when we're doing the rankings of quarterbacks that Trevor Lawrence creeps into that top 5, top 6 of quarterbacks in the NFL without a shadow of a doubt. It's counterintuitive, but the top D don't do called blitzing much. Yeah, I mean, you got to contain, not blitz to an extent. Don't give my brother any compliments. He probably already turned the show off. He just probably checked in just to say hi. But that's it. He must be bored at work. I went to Cash and graduated from Maine East in DePoint. Okay, got you. Well, I know you said you were originally from Coates, so I didn't know. Why does your brother have better hair? Dude, what is everybody jumping on my brother's side? Dude, I hate y'all if you're going to cheer my brother on. Come on now. You can't be cheering my brother on. His ego and his head, boom, blowing up right now if he's still watching. I have clearly just joined the Jalen Walks on Water episode. No. Well, maybe. But the point of the show and the topic of the show was the pressure for them and how and why will they replicate the success. Look, a lot of people, George, believe in Jalen Hurts. Believe that last year was not a fluke. He walks on water to wine. He turns water to wine. That's right. And he gets one glass of water and turns into enough wine for 5,000 people. Always a good kid. Okay. All right. Brian Harmon just shot 600. Oh, I haven't even refreshed my screen. He got to 10 under. Is John Rahm still bombing, Kyle? Let me refresh here. I do got a lot of money on this Open Championship. And John Rahm, he's still 3 over. God damn. John Rahm was my pick, and he is struggling at the Open Championship right now. Eagles will sleepwalk into the Super Bowl. NFL Saints. I think that's part of it, too. It's not just that Jalen Hurts walks on water, and we all love Jalen Hurts. It's that the NFC as a whole, there's about 4 teams in the AFC at least that you put them in the NFC and would be right there neck and neck with the Eagles. You know, the Bills, the Bengals, the obviously the Chiefs. You know, you could put the Chargers up there, the Ravens up there, maybe even the Steelers to an extent. There's a lot of teams that would be much higher ranked in the NFC versus the AFC. And I think that definitely is something there. Jags could definitely make a jump in that. The Jags are winning their division without a shadow of a doubt. Do I think this year could be a down year just because when team there is that, Adam? It is very hard to repeat success, but the problem is, or the counter to that is, that the NFC as a whole is just so weak. There's not many teams that can overtake the Eagles. And it's going to take the Eagles beating themselves to not repeat success. I really firmly believe that. Too bad there's no football on Wednesdays. Someday there might be. I mean, we got football on Mondays, sometimes Tuesdays, Saturdays, Fridays. There's football almost every day of the week now. Doug versus Nick. Dude, could you imagine an Eagles-Jaguars Super Bowl this year, next year, whatever, with Doug Peterson versus Nick Sirianni, Trevor Lawrence versus Jalen Hurts? Man, the storylines there. The storylines. That would be one other thing. It would be similar to when it was, Andy Reid versus the Eagles too, but kind of better since Doug actually won the Super Bowl. Yeah, it's just because you got the little silver fox thing going makes you, and you're not, I have hair. I just cut it short. I could grow it longer. I could hide this, receding hairline if I let it grow, but I like it short. I can't believe my brother's actually watching this song. This is insanely weird. I got to watch what I say. I can't call him out totally. Your brother looks like he makes a good. My brother don't do nothing. He sits at he's probably sitting at his work desk right now. His wife does all the work around the house and does all the cooking, not him. Shout out to Eric and Brother Stiefel, amazing hair. Oh my God, you guys all love my brother way too much right now. He's gonna literally be calling me. I don't have a text message from him yet. K1, I think this is a Brother Stefan Walks on Water episode. Side note, I would like to upgrade our third wide receiver. Spend the bar. If you watch enough of these shows, I've been talking about this for 6 weeks, 8 weeks now. Ever since Football Friday started. I mean, I'm not confident, Quez. I think maybe some of his mistakes are overblown, but he hasn't developed enough, in my opinion. And the other reason being that if A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith go down for an extended period of time, our wide receiver group as a whole is questionable, in my opinion. Only injuries hold the Eagles back from the Super Bowl. I agree with you. But we just mentioned on this one here. It's not that we need an upgraded third wide receiver. We just need an upgrade at wide receiver for depth purposes. It really is, because if one of them go down, you think about all the positions. We just added Dennis Kelly to the offensive line. We got depth on the offensive line. We got depth on the defensive line. We sort of kind of have depth at quarterback if Hurts was to miss 1 or 2 games. No team in the NFL loses their starting quarterback for a long period of time and wins. So, there's lots there. But wide receiver is one of those positions. If something happens, if Darius Slay or James Bradbury go down for a long period of time, or A.J. Brown or Quez Watkins go down, those 2 positions concern me significantly if one of them goes down. NFC is weak based on last year. Teams could rise from ashes. Overconfidence is a curse. It's fair. And teams have gotten better, but we haven't seen anything. We're looking at last year because that's all we have right now. Once the season, we're all allowed to change our opinions. This show is open to opinions now, and in 6, 8, 10 weeks, we could change. Maybe Detroit really is a really damn good team this year. Maybe they've taken the next step. There is a chance. I remember a certain dream team. Well, we all remember that dream team. It did not go well. Phil with a long hair looks like a mixture of hillbilly Jim. No, I'm not going to ever grow my hair long. I don't have the patience to do that. Howie's not done. If you think he is, you're not. He's not done. Not at all. Knock on wood. If you think he's, let's see here. Eagles got Rambo. Salute at TMZ. Yeah, exactly. Oh, holy crap, we're caught up on comments? It's the first time in a while. All right, I'm caught up on comments. I got a lot of people watching. We're going to keep this Eagles conversation rolling. But I had a little fun on Twitter last night, and I wanted to bring this up. For the last 20-some minutes, if you guys want to get something fun and weird and crazy into the conversation here. I was thinking of Robert Downey Jr. and his Iron Man character. Well, his the legend of Iron Man. Who was the perfect casting choice for a superhero in a movie? Was it Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man? Was it Hugh Jackman as Wolverine? Or was it Christian Bale as Batman? Or was it other? There were quite a few others. And Mark, if he's watching, he'll jump in because he's a big comic book. Tony Stark leading the way without a shadow of doubt in this poll, like 200 votes. But some really good answers there. I'd love to hear your thoughts, guys, on that. We are not playing, so we don't need to worry about overconfidence. Well, yeah, to an extent. Looking at last year, because that is all we have, is not a confident way to predict the future. That's fair. I know, George, you always like to bring a different viewpoint to this, and I get what you're saying. But the only way to predict or think, I know you don't like predictions. The only way to predict or foresee what could happen is based off of the knowledge we have in front of us. The knowledge we have in front of us is the last few years of this team. So, what's this? R.I.P. Tony Bennett. Did Tony Bennett pass away? I'm sorry. I don't know. I can't even on a quick search find out that information. I would love Patrick Queen to come in and combo with Dean. Yeah, I mean, I think I've heard his name a few times this offseason, DK. So possible. Are you the Drift King? I'm just curious. Dennis Kelly signed for backup. Yeah, he was brought in to be a backup. It's a good signing. We talked about this yesterday when that news broke because of Dorial Green Beckham and how much we thought he was going to be the next coming as wide receiver. So Tony Bennett passed away. Damn, that's crazy. The guy was a legend, one of the greatest voices. I still remember him at like 90-some years old, doing things. Val Kilmer's Batman. I didn't like it. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. Loki, Tom Middleton. I actually want him to be the next James Bond. I think he would play a great James Bond. But yeah, that one hasn't been brought up yet. Jalen Hurts as Eagles quarterback beats Robert Downey Jr. Maybe because he has the intangibles to win. He wouldn't have to sacrifice himself. He would get the team to sacrifice. I got a lot of other check marks because of Cap, because of Chris Evans. To think that Chris Evans has played so many different Super Bowls. First, he was what was that movie where he could push things with his mind? The young kid Dakota was in it too. Push. Was it called Push? I think it was called Push. Then he goes and he's in the Fantastic Four, and then he gets the real job as Cap America. Crazy. George, typically after a Super Bowl appearance, a team has maybe 3 top 100 picks in the draft. Yeah, that's true. Great point. When we get done with the Cowboys, they'll be wearing booties instead of boots and spurs. I love it. Arnold Schwarzenegger's Mr. Freeze. No, strongly disagree. Christopher Reeve is a Superman. No one commented on that. It's great. I mean, he was great Superman. Not the best. I don't even know how to judge. Like, I'm such a Superman freak. I don't even know how to. I love everybody that plays Superman. I really wish we got the Nicolas Cage Superman, though. I really do. Not Drifting anymore. More like Dinner King. How about Diner King now? I was just watching Tokyo Drift last night for a few minutes. The DK made me think of that movie there. It's just fresh in my mind. We just had what looks to be an excellent draft. This team is different. Yeah, the momentum of this team is just spot on. Blank man. Heath Ledger was the Joker. I had 2 people arguing on this thread last night. Who was the better Joker, Heath Ledger or Jack Nicholson? And both played the role really well. But, man, I'm going to try to pull up this poll because I want to see. There was one other one I think that really, really intrigued me. A couple, though. I forget how to say his name, so I got to bring it up here. I got to make sure I get his name right here. J.K. Simons as J. Jonah Jameson. Perfect. Was that not a perfect one right there? Yeah, it was Push. That's right. I actually think it was pretty good. They had plans to make this whole entire movie universe around Push. And I think it's an underrated comic book superhero, whatever you want to call it, movie for sure. Picks and talent do not worry me. You're Mr. Howie. You've been on the Howie bandwagon since 1985. I trust Howie to keep the team competitive on paper. I think the injuries are much more of a problem than the overconfidence. Overconfidence doesn't worry me because of Jalen Hurts, because of Nick Sirianni, because of the leaders on this team. The injuries really are the biggest concern, without a shadow of a doubt. Damon Wayans. Cowboys stink, for sure. Ryan Reynolds as the... Of course you're making a joke. I mean, someone did say Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool on the Twitter poll, but man, I wanted the Green Lantern movie to be good so bad. I really did, but it was just so bad. It really was. It was not well put together. Injuries for sure. I think Jalen will keep the team grounded. Exactly. We're overconfident. We are. But I don't think the teams, boast in their chest like they're this great team. They didn't get the job done. So, we're the overconfident people, not the team. What do we got here? We got 8 minutes left in this show. We got 17 likes on YouTube, 5 on Facebook. Let's keep pounding those like and share buttons. You guys are great today. This has been fantastic. No, the Deadpool, I actually don't find the Deadpool movies are good, but in the pantheon of the new era superhero movies, they're decent. They're only good because they're rated R, and well, at least they were. I don't know if the new one, the new one will be rated R. The first few were. I don't know. I don't love the Deadpool movies. They're okay in my opinion. Vince Young is replaying in my head. Yeah, Dream Team, or when Joe Banner said we're the gold standard. Exactly, the two were completely different Jokers, so it's hard to compare. But Jack Nicholson played it with like a certain type of flair, and Heath Ledger played it with a certain amount of darkness. So 2 completely different characters. Not worried about Jalen keeping the team grounded. Worried about Nick. Yeah, and that's why in this title and the description in the show, I said, is there pressure? George, would you say there's more pressure on Nick Sirianni than Jalen Hurts? Because I think there's an equal amount of pressure on both, but one that might have more. The Mad Chatter might be the real Joker. Hot take. The new ownership in D.C., they will compete with the Eagles not this year, DK. No, not with Sam Howell as their starting quarterback. I strongly disagree with you on that. Oppenheimer is killing it. I can't wait to see it. Over Dallas and New York Giants. Dallas is still the second or third best team in the NFC, without a shadow of a doubt. Heath Ledger, the Joker. Right now on this poll, I got 193 votes. Downey Jr. got 51%. Bale's Batman got 20. Jackman's Wolverine got 23, and 5% voted other. And we've gone through a bunch of these answers. You guys have named some of them. I just love the J.K. Simons as J. Jonah Jameson. It's a fantastic answer to this poll question on Twitter there. Whoever decided Reynolds was that good at anything. I mean, honestly, was Van Wilder his best movie ever? I love Van Wilder, FYI. I think it's a great movie, the original. Is he a great? Like, I do know. Like, didn't they do like a reality TV show on it too? I haven't watched it. Is he successful as the owner? I don't know. I'll have to take your word for it. Heath is the best villain ever by a lot. Interesting. Patrick Stewart is Professor X. That is a fantastic answer as well. I love that. I love that answer right there. Ray Parks is Darth Maul. I'm not really a Star Wars fan. I don't get into it. Jack warned Heath about getting too deep in the character. Yeah, for sure. Ray Parks as Toad. Side note, Rory can't make a putt. Seriously, I don't care. I want Rory to bomb. I have zero leverage or investment in Rory this week. So the more he fails, the better. I just need John Rahm to make the cut. Oh, he's back up to +2. Okay, he's above the cut line now. I think the cut line is going to finish about +3 today. I got a lot of money invested this week. A lot of money in DraftKings lineups and bets and top 20s. I need John Rahm to make the cut though. That really, really helps me. Jack Nicklaus as the Joker for sure. Nick has more pressure because of the new coordinators. I think that's a very fair answer right there. He's got more work to do compared to everybody else, for sure. The pressure on Nick is insane. Very easy to get to the top, hard to stay there as the coach, for sure. But there's also the other end of the equation. There still are a lot of Jalen Hurts doubters out there, in Philadelphia even, and around the league and the world, for sure. You know, he wants to be the best. He wants to prove that he's the best. He wants to prove the doubters wrong, but he wants to win a Super Bowl. You prove the doubters wrong by winning a Super Bowl. I'm not a drunk, but I get so bored at Iron Man. I drank. Really? How can you get bored at Iron Man? I mean, the original Iron Man, I actually love Iron Man 2. Mickey Rourke, fantastic. Iron Man 3 was meh. But Iron Man was it, man. And he just personified. Robert Downey Jr. literally lived the life of Tony Stark outside of being the genius part of it. I think Jalen and Nick's future is tied, but Nick would go before Jalen if we find ourselves rearranging chairs on the Titanic. I love that. That is too soon to make a Titanic reference. I don't know. Maybe not. But I love that reference right there. John Leguizamo as Luigi. We got jokes today as we wind down the last 12 minutes of this show. We got jokes. I love it. John Leguizamo is a hilarious actor, man. I love him. I'm a little worried about the Giants' Brian Daboll. He's a fantastic coach. He was my original choice that I wanted as the Eagles head coach after we parted ways with Doug Peterson. Without a shadow of a doubt, he was the guy I wanted. And it concerns me because he is changing the culture and the philosophies of the New York Giants. The problem is you still got Daniel Jones on a huge contract. You got the big Saquon Barkley controversy looming. I still think he's a good enough coach to keep the troops together. I just don't know if without Saquon Barkley and whether Daniel Jones is good enough to really have continued or sustained excessive success. They might win 8 games. They might win 10 games. Maybe they're a wild card team. They're just okay right now. There's not enough talent on that team. But Brian Daboll as a coach, over the next 5 years, the Giants could win the NFC East for sure. But they got to figure out a lot of things first. Hemsworth as Thor was legit. I am actually not a Thor fan or a Hemsworth. I think all the Thor movies are extremely overrated. Love Jack Nicholson's Joker, but such a 90s aesthetic and feel that, the Prince song. Oh, I was thinking about the Seal song right now. Iron Man is playing. Man, we're not friends anymore. Agreed. Daboll has gotten results from poor roster. Absolutely. I think it was a big question mark when he left Buffalo. Could he have success elsewhere? Because he doesn't have Josh Allen. But he's done well, considering the team. And like I said, I like what he's doing. I like what he does. We'll see if he can sustain it. And we'll see if he can get more out of Daniel Jones. Can he take Daniel Jones? They're committed to Daniel Jones for, I think on that, I know it's a 4-year, $160 million contract, but I think there's an out after 2 years in that contract. We'll see if he can get more. Wesley Snipes' is Blade. Aren't they rebooting it? Aren't they redoing the Blade series? Isn't the guy that played the bad guy in Luke Cage on Netflix, isn't he the new Blade or something like that? I remember reading something about that. Yeah. Billy Zane as the Phantom. No, I thought you were going to say something else there. But for all the Jalen haters, he was in the gym a week after the Super Bowl. He is possessed. Yeah, it's still got to translate to the field and wins. It's still got to translate to success. So, but he's got the desire and the determination. Dabble is the quarterback whisperer. He got a lot out of Daniel Jones, more than I expected out of Daniel Jones last year. We'll see if he can replicate it this year. Daniel Jones got paid. Margaret Robbie is Harley Quinn. Yeah, I mean, yeah. You mean Barbie is Harley Quinn? His better role, Leguizamo as the Violator in the Spawn movie. I've only seen the Spawn movie once. I should probably go back and rewatch that. I think I haven't seen that in ages. New York Giants can get out of Danny Dimes' contract after 2025. Okay, so 3 of the 4 years. Okay, gotcha. But still, we'll see what they can get out of Danny Dimes. Giants could win. No. There's not enough talent on the Giants. I strongly believe that they're a good team, but they're not good enough to win the division. You're going to have to win 12 games to win this division. Eagles, Giants, Cowboys, Commanders. The Eagles can win 12 games this year. The Cowboys could possibly win 12 games this year. I don't see the Giants winning 12 games this year. It's going to take 12 to do it. Margaret Robbie and anything, basically, yeah. Brian Daboll coached Jalen Hurts, right? I think they did actually cross paths at some point, for sure. Yeah, the Giants roster is just not good enough. Eagles can get out Jalen Hurts, absolutely. They're going to restructure it and pay him more because Jalen Hurts walks on water and turns water into wine. Thor movies are not that great, but as far as looks go, okay, all right, gotcha on that. Let's see here. What do we got here? Jalen Hurts' only weakness is leading receivers on long throws. He throw mostly jump balls. So, yeah, I mean, he does have great long ball statistics. But a lot of that is because he's got A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. I've already said how many times on shows in the past how much I love Devontae Smith's ability to high ball and get, catch the ball and high point the ball. So there is some of that too. He can. The scary thing about Jalen Hurts is that he can actually get better. He really can. Robert De Niro as Al Capone in The Untouchables is a fantastic movie, and the casting in that movie is great. But that doesn't really fit into the superhero conversation. That just talks about movie overall. Daboll didn't need to coach Hurts. Hurts walks on water by himself. Oh my God, George, you just won't just get on. It feels so good to be a Jalen Hurts, super fan. It feels good. Allen needs Daboll badly. Yeah, that was Leguizamo and Spawn. I think it was, but it's been ages since I saw it. Hurts coached Daboll. Actually, yeah, Hurts made Daboll the coach he is today. We're having a lot of fun here today, guys. A lot of Daniel Jones. He got DJ to be efficient. They got a lot out of Saquon. It's two. But he also has no wide receivers in New York. So maybe some better wide receivers. Maybe Daniel Jones turns the corner. He taped his legs together to walk on his knees for that role. Interesting. Mr. RJ Tropic Thunder. Should have got an Oscar out of that. Yeah, that was a hilarious movie. One you have to watch 300 or 400 or 500 times to really appreciate, but it is a great movie. Daboll coached Hurts, and yeah, that's what I thought. It's insane that it was, Leguizamo. And I've really set something off with this side conversation, too. Portman was better, Thor. Yeah, maybe. I haven't seen the new one yet. Jet Li. Jet Li's great. Jet Li. 80% there. 80% there. What do we got to do? Do you need a Super Bowl, George, to get to 100%? A Super Bowl victory? Or you just need, something, guys, just so you know, I'm working on something here. I'm going to bring George on the show and have him talk for a little bit in the coming weeks before the season starts. George is the perfect counterpoint to our overconfidence. I love George. I can't wait to see what he has to say when he's got a microphone in front of him and not just the keys. Henry Cavill, I loved Henry Cavill as Superman. I thought he was great. I'm disappointed that they have to recast the role. I really am. New Joker overrated. Hold on. Do you mean the Joker as in Joaquin Phoenix, like the Joker movie? Or I haven't seen the new Batman with Robert Pattinson. Was there a Joker in that? I'm not sure. I will say the Joker movie, I partook in some adult activities or food or something like that before watching it. and it was not the best thing to do. So I had to go back and rewatch it a second time, because it was a little scary watching it when your head was spinning. The Summer of George, we love George. George is the best. The Joker movie, I had to watch it a few times because the first time I watched it, I wasn't fully compatible with myself. Andrew Garfield, the best Spider-Man. Who is the best Spider-Man? I don't know. Spider-Man 2 with Doc Ock, man. I think it's one of the most underrated Superman or Spider-Man or superhero movies, period. But Andrew Garfield is underrated as well. No one going to say Jim Carrey is the Riddler. That was a good. I mean, he was good. They cast the villains better than they did the actual Superman there. The Joker by the one guy is garbage. I don't agree with that. Laugh of the day. Dak Prescott says he won't throw 10 interceptions. I know, because he'll throw 15. He also won't. I joked and said he won't win 10 games either. But that's just a joke. DK, thank you for that. Garfield was an awesome Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man has been the best recast thing over and over again. Because I think Tobey Maguire played it well. I think Andrew Garfield played it well. I do like Tom Holland. I think he plays it very well. I can't say that stuff on the air. I like to keep what I do on the side, but I don't do it a lot. Phil looks like a Delta 9, man. No. No. Nope. Don't need a Super Bowl. I will settle for 20% drop off from last season. We'll know by October. All right. We'll revisit this in October. We will. Who did 2017 Joker and Suicide? Jared Leto did. Yeah, that was not right. But they didn't really give it time to develop. For next 10 years, it's going to be Mahomes versus Jalen. Repeat. Is Mahomes versus Jalen going to be the next Brady versus Manning or whatnot? Like it really could be. For Carrie, Dr. Eggman is greater than Riddler. Loved his Riddler role, but it was more fun. I just, my favorite Jim Carrey role of all time was him on in Living Color. All the different characters he played there. Arnold as Terminator. That's a good one. Burrow versus Mahomes is the rival. That's a fair comment, and it might be because they're going to, play more frequently, being in the same conference versus really Mahomes versus Hurts is only going to happen every few years, and then if they both reach the Super Bowl. But yeah, where are we at here? We got 3 minutes left, and we're going to start the wrap up, a little bit here as we go. Maybe a Kratom chaser. I don't even know what that is. But again, we got 18 likes, 5 likes on Facebook. Guys, thank you very much. This has been a fantastic show. It's been a fantastic week of shows altogether. You guys are great. You want to see polls, or you got ideas for polls you want me to run on Twitter that we can then talk about on the show? Send them to me. I'm going to start running some polls that are non-sports related and try to bring some non-sports conversation as well to lighten the mood as we have these serious. We didn't even talk Phillies. We didn't talk Sixers today. Thank God. We kept it all football on All Football Friday. We dabbled with some superheroes. I will say this. I will end the superhero conversation with my favorite superhero movie of all time, Captain America 2, The Winter Soldier. That's my favorite. Out of all the movies that have come out in the last 20 years, that is my favorite one, without a shadow. Debo as the San Francisco 49er. If my brother's in this conversation, chat, don't talk bad about the 49ers. He's a fake Fugazi 49ers fan because Joe Montana and Jerry Rice were there when he was a kid. Anytime I can throw that dig at him. But if my brother's here, he'll cry if you say anything negative about the 49ers. But he only watches them. Simon Phoenix, love it. Demolition Man, great movie right there. Can Mad Chatter beat me in a foot race? I don't know. I know I couldn't beat any of you in a foot race. Guys, we got to wrap this one up here today. Thank you to the super chats, guys. I greatly appreciate it. It means a lot to me. It's not about the money. It's just about the appreciation. It takes a lot of effort, time, and even just prep to get these shows ready and to put this together every single day before I go to work. And as soon as today's Friday, it's Friday at a pizza shop. I know I got a 30 pizza order already for 11:30. There's a lot that goes into doing these shows. So just you guys showing up, liking and sharing and commenting means a lot to me. The super chats mean even more to me. Don't tell my wife that one of those super chats is dedicated to her. Don't do that because then she's going to want something out of it. Off topic, Val Kilmer is Doc Holliday. Great movie. Tombstone's a great one of the best, if not best, Western of all time. I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys every single day tuning in. I appreciate Matt Chatter, even when he wants to talk Eli is greater than Peyton. I appreciate each and every one of you. This show is fantastic. It means a lot to me to do this show on a daily basis. So we're going to wrap it up. Demolition Man and Blade are classics. Yeah, I haven't watched Blade enough times. I've only seen it a couple times, but I've seen Demolition Man like 3,000 times. If just Wesley Snipes would have paid his taxes, where would his career have gone? Two $5. We've had two $5 super chats and a $10 today, which is a lot. Basketball is the best sports movie of all time. Basketball. Okay, gotcha. That's right. Roll Tide. Yeah, that is right. My man. And hold on, before we leave, let me refresh my U.S. the Open Championship leaderboard here. Let's see, Minwoo Lee 300 today. Let's see, where's my Rambo at now? Is he still above the cut line? Yeah, he's still at +2 on the 16th hole. That's good. That's good for business. $1 million man. Wesley's lawyer. I wish that was true. I hope that's true because that'd be funny as hell if that's true, K1. Everybody, we're going to wrap it up right there. Everybody have a great day. We'll be back Monday, Overreaction Monday. Man, George, you think that Jalen Hurts walking on water is bad now? Just wait till Overreaction Monday, and we keep this conversation going. Just got out of the bunker. Everybody's got a price. His name is Robert Barnes. I'm going to Google search that later. Everybody have a great day. We'll talk to you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend. It's going to be beautiful in the Philadelphia area. It's going to be the first dry weekend in ages. Get out, enjoy, do something fun. Enjoy the Open Championship. Maybe watch a little Phillies baseball. Come up with your ideas. What you want to talk about on basically if you want to make a WWE or a wrestling reference, IRS, Mr. Rotundo got Wesley Snipes. Everybody have a great weekend, guys. Got to wrap it up. Have a great weekend. We'll be back Monday, Overreaction Monday, for Trending in the AM here on Philadelphia Sports Network. I am Phil Stiefel. Make sure you do all the stuff to keep pumping up this fantastic show. One of the best in a while. It's been a great week, guys. Monday, back here. Have a great one, guys. We'll see you next week.